Welcome back to Grimerica Outlawed Roundup, guys. Coming at you this week, January 29th, 2025, already through the first month.
January 30th, actually.
January. Oh, well.
Yeah, sorry, I was a little
Dunlop.
We're late.
Well, it's supposed to be the 29th, so we're just going to run with that. Anyway, just pretend it's the 29th. For everyone else listening on the podcast, it doesn't matter. We're late because I was traveling yesterday, because this isn't my full-time job, because not enough people sign up for Plus. But I digress. I didn't get in until quite late last night, and so we're doing it on the Thursday. Coming at you this week with plus size platoons.
Oh no, that scares me.
Fractal NGOs.
Fractal NGOs. Yeah, I was gonna say fractal NGOs of trust, but so have you noticed my attire tonight?
I've noticed your yeah.
I just looked over. I was like, I was wearing a gray
prediction. What? It's because of the Carney sweater thing.
Yeah. I was wearing a gray shirt, and I thought that'll be good. I can talk about the gray shirt. But then I noticed my mom gave me this gray cardigan, and I found it in the garage, and I was like, oh, that might be still fit me okay because it's a button down, you know. And then I thought it's kind of the right shade for these gray, all these politicians in Canada that are sporting the gray. What is up with that? Like, everything becomes a meme or a conspiracy these days. I mean, Marty up north says he was thinking about that scene in Runway Jury where the character played by Cusack proves he's in control of the jury by getting them to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Maybe the gray sweaters is how Klaus proved to his financial backers that he can still deliver the goods. Look, here's the meme. I'm still in control. Look at what I can do. And they've got like, is that Daniel Smith? No, that's Melanie Jolie, right?
Melanie Jolie.
So yeah, so it's all the lefties, and Justin and Carney and Jagmeet all in these gray sweaters. And I've seen them, so it's not just a meme. I have seen some videos recently. They do seem to be. It does seem to. I heard it's a team player. Team player is what it means. But I used to. My old email was like back in the day in the early '90s. It was the gray man is. The gray man is.
So you wearing a woman's sweater right now, then?
No, it's not.
Your mom's sweater.
I would make. I would make a bit of a. It looks like a smoking jacket in a way, or like politician. I could be like a left-wing politician with that sweater on.
And being a metrosexual, you have stand.
But it's going to be cooking hot sooner than later. If I got to take it off now.
Cooking hot. All right, let's.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm scared of your. I'm scared of your segment here.
Any guesses?
I think it's got to do with the Black Hawk Down.
No, I'm not getting into that.
Oh, you're not? Okay, good.
No. Jesus Christ. What kind of monster do you take me for? You did call me an asshole on the show in one of our most popular reels.
Did I? Oh, wow.
I think you're reading an email.
Yeah, maybe I was. Yeah. What a crazy time. Again, every week that goes by, there's just so much happening. I mean, it's the confirmation hearings are going on, and that it's just proving that these people are just corrupt, money laundering, Senate and in the States. And here we are bitching about the Senate in Canada, but I don't know, man. Like, I just saw a great post by, I think it was like the health ranger that was like, just get rid of the Senate altogether. We don't even need them.
Don't they write the laws? Not ours, but is the health ranger Canadian?
No.
Doesn't Senate write the laws?
I don't know.
The funny thing is that would like play right into that, starting to eliminate
turning into the Emperor Trump, right? No more Senate anymore.
So you can relax a little bit, because this one should make you feel a little better. Almost 3/4 of Canadian troops are overweight or obese. From documents, the Canadian military has higher obesity rates than the general population, according to an internal briefing.
Sorry, this is funny.
I mean, look at the picture. So 68% of Canadian men were considered obese or overweight, while that rate was 78% for men in the military. Military leaders have warned that Canada's troops are becoming increasingly overweight and obese, with 72% of armed forces personnel falling into those two categories. The chicks are helping bring that down, clearly.
Hang on. What is it? Was
Or
it
the
68?
non-binaries.
Is it normal 68 and 72% in the?
So you think like 68 out of every 100 dudes are fat?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's pretty. Those are high percentages. Too,
What is the obese? What's the
overweight? Well, they're saying or overweight. I mean, everybody's overweight. I mean, it's ridiculous. When I was at my lightest, I was still overweight. It's especially because of my height. Like they don't measure my. I don't think they measure my bone density. Like that, I can't complain that I'm big boned or.
I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Why would you want? You don't need to complain like big bone. You just need to get out there. I've seen you trim and chop. Actually, you're pretty hard to knock over too.
Oh yeah, I got the low center of gravity.
Obesity prevalence has been slowly increasing for many years. Senior leaders were warned in a series of briefings in June 2024 conducted by officials with Canadian Forces Health Services. That in turn has been associated with an increase in sick days and medical releases, as well as reduced readiness and productivity.
I can't believe it.
44% of personnel in the Canadian. What happened to like push? This is what happens when you just can't scream at them that they're fags and make them do push-ups.
I know. I was picturing all those movies, right? With
all those days
the drill sergeant. In Canada, we can't have drill sergeants.
It's okay. Calm down.
It's like, it's too oppressive.
44% of personnel in the Canadian Armed Forces are considered overweight, while 28% are classified as obese. 1 in 4. The briefings, almost 1 in 3. The briefings for the leaders of the Army, Navy, and Air Force were obtained through the Access to Information Act by Ottawa-based researcher Ken Rubin. Thanks, Ken. Canadian Armed Forces members have much higher levels of physical activity than the overall Canadian population, the briefings noted. But the military also had higher rates of obesity. 68% of Canadian men are obese, while that rate is 78% for men in the military. 53% of Canadian women were considered obese. Well, in the military, that number is 57%. Over half of them are fatties now. One of the reports for the senior leadership concluded that increasing physical activity level will not resolve the challenges of obesity in the Canadian Armed Forces. To deal with the problem, military health specialists suggested promoting a culture of fitness. Wow, imagine that. Imagine the concept.
I thought they just said physical activity won't help.
Why won't it though? What are they eating? I guess let's keep going. Rubin said that the Canadian Forces and Department of National Defense tried to hide the reports. He submitted 2 requests under the Access to Information Act in July for records discussing data on the overall physical fitness status of military personnel, as well as documents about weight. But DND's Access to Information branch informed Rubin that a thorough and complete search of records was conducted and not a single document could be found. Rubin then submitted a similar request to the Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services, an organization separate from DND, and received 141 pages of records. That included the briefings produced by DND and Canadian Forces staff on obesity and physical fitness in the ranks, and presented directly to the heads of the Army, Navy, and Air Force. I think DND was hiding the records because they're embarrassed, Rubin said in an interview. This information is that people have this is information that people have a right to know, and information of consequence.
Is the military fighting fit or not? Does that mean like fit for fighting or?
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I could have told you that just by going on the base. So the Canadian military. Oh.
Okay, now go ahead.
The Canadian military has a number of programs to improve the well-being of military personnel, she added. Those include physical fitness regimes, a new nutritional course, and customized health and wellness workshops. Well, I wonder what those look like. Yoga. Similar warnings about poor health and obesity were also contained in an October 2024 briefing prepared for Lieutenant General Lise Bourgeon, Chief of Military Personnel. That briefing, leaked to the Ottawa Citizen, noted that obesity rates were up in the military. It pointed out that 61% of regular force personnel reported that their physical health had gotten worse. A 1992 article in the Ottawa Citizen reported the military had a policy of kicking out people it determined were physically unfit. Those overweight were required to take a 6-month physical fitness program and follow a diet for 6 months. If they did not reduce their weight, they were put on probation and could be removed from the military if no improvements in fitness were made.
Wonder when that ended.
But Poulin said her email that the Canadian Forces does not track data on the number of members have been subject to administrative action or release in relation to physical fitness. In a 1989 Canadian Forces study found that 5% of the then 88,000 regular forces were obese, while another 17% were considered overweight.
Oh my God, how far we've fallen, right?
Yeah.
In 35, how many, 35, 40 years?
Not only have they fallen, they cannot get out. So.
No, honestly, though, that's a huge increase. From 17% to 68? No, yeah. 72.
72.
You can just imagine that
78% of men. 78% of men. So it was all men back then.
No, probably 72, I think. 72, I think.
No, 78 of men, 72 when you factor the women in.
Oh my God, really?
4 out of 5.
What is it? I mean, it really feels like a culture problem to me. Like they just have a culture of laziness in there, and the military is pretty inefficient. I mean, but what is it? The diet? I mean, are they just eating like shit in there and not exercising? Like how?
I'm going to say that a ton of it is seed oils. I would say that you probably can exercise a certain amount and still get fucked up by today's modern diet.
Yeah.
Most of which is that I assume the army is fucking just cramming margarine and all this other terrible hydrogenated crap into you at an incredible rate. Culture problems. So have you seen this one going around yet? Yeah,
I sent it to you actually. This is a video of a bunch of semis, like a whole whack of semis in the
nonstop. Yeah, in Canada, just nonstop.
Is that Canada? Is it really? Like, are you sure it's a legit video in Canada, or it's from 25 years ago?
No, this is what it says. I've driven over 3 million accident-free miles over the past 25 years. This sort of thing there prior to 2015. It can be fixed in 1 week. Mandatory fluency in English, the return of CB radio proficiency, and banning of automatic transmissions.
So I wonder what that has to do. The automatic transmissions are harder to handle in the snow.
No, I think that if you can't drive a fucking standard transmission, you have no business driving a truck. Is what he's getting at. Especially those big rig transmissions that are all over the place. You know, it used to. Like if you don't have it, it's a tough.
And CB proficiency, you think, would be a normal. How can that be a thing that you're allowed to get your trucker's license without being proficient on the CB? That seems crazy.
They probably don't use them as much anymore. I mean, the fluency in English thing is a clear shot at immigrant truckers.
Yeah, for sure. But that was a legit video, you know?
Yeah, that's the video. Yeah.
Oh my God.
100 trucks in the snow in Southern Ontario in a snowstorm because they've never seen snow before. Yeah. I mean, it's a real tragedy. It's a real tragedy. Anyway, do you want? I got so much stuff. It's crazy.
Okay, keep going then.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
All right. That's not very fair. Okay, let's jump across the pond for a minute. Go over to the UK for Lord Tony the Fag. This one's for you, buddy. I can't wait to see what you think about this. I mean, we kind of talked about it a few weeks ago, jokingly.
The truth is kitchen knives are 5% of the knives used in most of the terrible crimes. That's one of the stats in the films. And those kitchen knives are usually a domestic situation. Okay. So kitchen knives, of course, it's very difficult. They're domestic knife. I do think there is areas of innovation that we can do with kitchen knives. I hate to say it, not all kitchen knives need to have a point on them. That sounds like a crazy thing to say, but actually it would reduce. You know, you can still cut your food without the point on the knife, which is a good way to sort of look at it. The truth is that kitchen knives are perhaps 25.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can believe it. And that's the big actor, right? That's what's his name?
That is
Idris Elba or whatever.
Elba, yeah.
Well, did you know that I was looking for mine to build on your little clip there, because he goes on to say that, like, we should as things are changing, we should be careful and just make rounded kitchen knives. But I'm trying to find my clip of the knives in Canada. Did you know that they're allowed to have these sharp knives? The
Sikhs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't seem to find it now. But they're allowed to, like normal people, like I couldn't walk around with a sharp sword, but the Sikhs are allowed to, even if they're not Canadian. Like a foreign Sikh apparently can come over here and carry a sword around.
I did also see that as well. Yeah, I have not fact checked it, but I would not be surprised. I've heard that for a long time ago. But we might need those things eventually. We might all need to take up some swords eventually. How about this? The ultra low.
Oh no, I'm not saying that, like, we shouldn't be able to. It's just like it's a little,
only one race shouldn't be able
it's to. Like just because of my religious. Well, what if I'm a ninja? Can I take around my ninja sword and my nunchucks?
How about this? An ultra low emission zone fine is issued every 15 seconds.
Hang on. Can I just quickly show that? I found it.
Okay.
Is that okay? So, because you're gonna like this.
Am I?
So this is from Mocha Barazan, but here's the problem with this. And all the like hate speech and all these things, right, that we're getting in trouble with. This is Mocha saying glorification of violence on Canadian streets is in slow motion. So he's got here, the Khalistani activists brought their babies and explicitly asked me to make sure I record them. They believe this will send a crucial message to India. So I'm just going to play the little slow motion clip. Look at, they've got like basically cardboard cutouts of like people shooting at their queen or king or whoever is their politicians maybe or whatever. And they've got a fire blazing here and they've got all their swords out and their speakers and they're protesting with their microphones. And they says in Canada, only Sikhs may legally possess knives and swords for personal defense. Sikhs do not have to be Canadian citizens. Just make sure I've got this right here. To have the legal right to carry edged weapons. Sikh visitors, temporary residents, and illegal immigrants are also allowed to carry edged weapons, both openly and concealed. Canadians who are not Sikh are subject to arrests, criminal charges, and imprisonment for carrying any defensive weapons, including knives, swords, clubs, pepper spray, or firearms. The political class would rather see Canadian women are aped than to be able to legally carry pepper spray. But Sikh women are allowed to carry knives. That is pretty.
What about swords?
What?
Maybe I could just be a Sikh and then get the wife a sword.
There you go. And
then we can use it to destroy the government. For giving us an emissions fine every 15 seconds. I mean, this is what Canada has to look forward to if it continues down at Pat.
Give you a what sign every what?
Ultra low emission zone fine.
Oh.
This is for driving in the wrong place with the wrong kind of car. A ULEZ fine is issued in London every 15 seconds. A total of 2.4 million penalties have been issued since the expansion of Sir Sadiq Khan's flagship policy, which grew the ultra-low emission zone to cover the whole of Greater London. I mean, it's huge. It's a whole city. Of those fines, 1.1 million went unpaid, to the point that bailiffs were instructed to pursue them as unpaid debts. ULEZ's aim is to improve London's air quality by taxing older, more polluting cars, poor people, more heavily than newer vehicles. Turo's research found that by November 1st last year, just 1 in 5 ULEZ fines had been paid within 28 days. The penalty for not paying £12.50, which is about $25 Canadian, daily driving tax is £90. It'd be about 180 Canadian, doubling to 180 if not paid within 14 days.
The fine for not paying £12 is £90. Good job.
And if you don't pay it within a week, then with no pay within 2 weeks, then it goes to £180. Almost a 20-fold increase.
You got to read that one sentence there about that one vehicle.
This one?
Yeah.
One vehicle alone racked up more than 240,000 pounds in ULEZ penalties, amount to more than 1,000 penalties. We need to have this guy on the show. Critics see ULEZ as a part of a wider war on motorists, increasing taxes on people who choose to drive instead of paying TFL for public transport services. Keith Prince, a conservative member of the London Assembly, described the penalties as a disgrace and said Sadiq had been warned before the scheme's expansion that it may risk penalizing those least able to afford it. Can you imagine if you had to pay $25 a day to commute into town?
Dude, I just saw a post about Toronto. Did you hear about this one? Where the Toronto Council or the Toronto downtown, they increased their parking so high that they expected people to take transit in, and then people just stopped going into downtown. So now they're giving the parking tickets away for free just to get people back downtown. Like, good job.
Some vandals who styled themselves as Blade Runners used power tools to cut down newly installed ULEZ enforcement cameras when the zone was expanded. Arrests and criminal convictions resulted, including that of Joseph Nichols, 43, a father of 3 who last September cried in the dock as he was given a suspended prison sentence for sending menacing messages to companies supplying ULEZ camera equipment. He was also ordered to pay £7,000 in legal costs and compensation. Earlier this year, a 52-year-old private tutor who drove to London for a backgammon tournament found herself being pursued by bailiffs for £945. Can you imagine? We are stepping up enforcement of those who evade ULEZ penalty charge notices by tripling the number of people in our investigations team. Wonder how much that costs. To boost the work with the enforcement agents to target those in polluting vehicles that refuse to pay the daily charges. This is a problem. You start giving these fucking idiots money, and then they have a budget to hire more fucking goons to fucking.
Yeah, it's never ending. Yeah,
it's never ending. Yeah. And then I don't know what happens next. I mean, it's a real mess.
Oh, I thought you had something else to share there.
I could share something else.
Oh, I thought you were going into something else. Well, I mean, I've got a clip from Carney last year. It's pretty interesting.
Carnival Carney?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something we should do pretty quick.
I think I coined that. Just so you know, if you see it going around.
If you got more, do you have more stuff about this or
about what?
About this topic, Carney or the Justin or anything like that? Oh shit! Hang on, it's not working.
I have some Daniel Smith stuff.
Okay, let me. Can you hear? Can you hear this?
Senator Gold, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to read I'll read the description after we hear this clip.
Yesterday I asked you about carbon tax Carney and your government's actions to seal.
Yeah, it could be carbon tax Carney Carnival.
Nice.
Carbon tax Carnival Carney.
Shield him from ethics and conflict of interest laws. I specifically asked you about his conflict of interest between his new role as Justin Trudeau's financial advisor and his role as chair of Brookfield Asset.
So his new role as Justin's financial advisor and chair of Brookfield Asset Management.
You stood here in this chamber and tried to lecture me for even asking such a question. You stood here and tried to lecture us about what you called his exemplary career serving Canadians, Senator Gold. At the very same time you were doing that, carbon tax Carney was securing a $10 billion of taxpayer fund from the Trudeau government for Brookfield Asset Management to oversee a new equity fund, a fund that would also put them in charge of Canada's pensions. Seriously, Senator Gold, you guys don't have enough problems with ethic violations already? And will you take the time to at least edit the answer to my question from yesterday out of respect for Canadian taxpayers and for this institution?
Senator Gold?
Oh, Senator, thank you for your question. And
once again, isn't it just so schwarmy? Like, it just makes me want to puke. Listen.
Again, giving me an opportunity to say the following. It's fairly rich coming from you. I was not lecturing you yesterday. I was bemoaning the fact that that important issues of public policy are so wrapped up, dare I say, sometimes obscured in such partisan rhetoric and, frankly, such disrespectful tones towards people who have served Canadians and are continuing to serve Canadians. So it's not a lecture. It falls on deaf ears, perhaps, Senator. But no, I will not edit my remarks yesterday, nor any that I'm making now.
Senator Husakos.
Senator Gold, what I'm bemoaning is the fact that carbon tax Carney wasted no time using his new gig with Justin Trudeau to start lining his pockets with taxpayer money. He's putting his own firm in charge of $10 billion of tax dollars and wants to make Canadians' pensions pay him as well. This isn't exemplary service to Canadians. This is using Canadians as a personal slush fund with zero accountability. How much does carbon tax Carney stand to make personally from this hustle, Senator Gold? How much? Give us the number of what he's going to make off Canadian taxpayers.
Senator Gold.
I will not dignify that question, nor the way in which you describe Mr. Carney with an answer.
It's
Is really regrettable. We deserve better in this chamber, and Canadians do.
See, all that he did, just they can't answer the fucking question, right? They can't even comment at all about it. It's like all about, oh, you can't use this partisan stuff, and it's your tone of voice. Fuck off. It's unbelievable. So this clip is from September regarding Carney and about him being appointed special advisor to the Liberals, and then asking Trudeau for $10 billion for Brookfield is all you need to watch to see why Trudeau wants to stack the Senate. Mark Gold protects Trudeau and Carney. Oh, see, I gotta open this thing up all the time here. Protects to the end. He's supposed to be non-affiliate. Wake up, people. Why does Carney want to be PM so bad, right? I mean, how is this okay, Darren? How is this not illegal? How is this not corruption? Just like the senators down in the States. Not just like, it's similar. They're corruption in a different way, but I mean, so he can come in as a special advisor, get all this taxpayers' money for his company. I mean, it's unbelievable. Wait till I show you all the. I'll wait till I get into my next segment later about the NGOs. It's gonna blow you away.
You're breaking up. I don't know if it must be my internet. I don't have my little warning thing. Maybe it's just StreamYard. We were having trouble earlier too. And,
yeah, I don't know what it is.
It was wired.
Well, I mean, I've also got this thing here, Quebec Separatist Party. This might lead into some of your stuff with Daniel Smith, maybe, but they gain a lead over the current ruling party and plans to hold a sovereignty referendum after forming government. So I don't know what you think about that. Do you think that'll actually happen, or mass migration inspiring Quebec independence? A recent poll reveals that the Quebec Separatist Party has opened up a significant lead and plans to hold a sovereignty referendum. So, I mean, wouldn't this be interesting if Quebec and Alberta did that at the same time here? We don't need to read the rest of it. I just wanted to get your take on that.
Well, speaking of Quebec, I got this from Kirk Lubomov, who's going to come on the show. Quebec is tabling a bill that essentially puts immigrants on notice for expectations and behavior. This is the current party, not the one that wants to be in power. This is a current ruling party in Quebec. We are a nation. We have a culture. They call themselves a nation. We have a culture. Men and women are equal, and people coming here.
They're not post-national like the rest of Canada.
Post-national like the rest of us. We see a lot of difficulties in some schools, seeing people staying with their own group. We don't want some ghettos. The school issues he is talking about is the Islamists who've been taking over some Quebec schools and teaching closer to Sharia law than actual education system. So here it is. This is the guy, the Quebec guy.
Our plan with our bill, we will be pretty clear. We are a nation. We have a culture. We have some democratic values. Men and women are equal, and people coming here must accept that. After, we want them to contribute to the society. So this is completely new, and this is really different from what the Canada is saying
But how is it different exactly? What are you trying to preserve more concretely? I understand this. There's a lot of people, I assume, that don't understand this definition of multiculturalism. So can you explain just what exactly are you trying to change?
Well, I've read the multicolor, excuse me. Well, I've read the multicolorist politic, which have been made in 1971. I've read the bill, multiculturalist bill, and there's nothing about a common culture. There's nothing about common languages. So this is a huge difference. We are saying that we exist as a nation, and we want to continue to do so. And we want people to understand where they arrive, to understand that there is a nation here, a Quebec's nation. There is a language here. There is a culture. There are some identity, and they are welcome here. But they must embrace this culture and then contribute. Had their own way. And
But why are you doing this now? Was there any specific event that led to this? Why table an additional bill now?
Well, it's about time. It's about time. We see that we have a lot of difficulty in some schools. We see that people are staying with their own group, and we want some more diversity, and we want people to go and to talk to each other. We don't want some ghettos. We want one society.
See, I mean, how do you, it's out of control, right? I mean, you can't just walk this stuff back now. You have to have it controlled from the beginning, right? Like maybe it was in the 1980s, right? We were pretty intertwined in the 80s, right? I think it's out of control now. And how is it going to get, this is going to boil over, right? And it's a perfect example of
boiling over. I mean, Quebec politicians are getting ready to kick them out.
Yeah, they won't put up with it.
It is boiling over. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the country, I got a couple clips from shitty BC again. More of my BC. Remember, I was doing the BC sucks segment. I got a couple more things here this week. Reasons we might not want to accept British Columbia into the Republic of Alberta, the coming Republic of Alberta.
There are 1.2 million people in BC currently on the wait list to see a medical specialist, delaying critical care.
What's the population of BC, Graham?
Probably 4.8. That's probably 1/4 of the residents, or 20% of the residents.
Without timely access to specialist care, problems can't be caught early, which means they can be even worse when the patient finally does see a doctor. Neurologist Dr. Robert Carruthers knows. He thinks of one patient
who over 18 months started to experience slowly worsening balance and more difficulty walking, and he was referred to a neurologist, but the wait times were too long, and in that time he started to experience accelerating decline.
The patient was ultimately hospitalized, diagnosed with aggressive multiple sclerosis.
Because he was doing so badly, he needed chemotherapy. So, if you wind it back, like if he had been able to see a neurologist sooner, then he might not have worsened to the point that he needed chemotherapy.
According to a recent survey by Consultant Specialists of BC, average wait times for a first consult are 4 weeks for urgent cases and up to 10 months for non-urgent ones. Dr. Carruthers says that is a clear long-term effect on people.
Unfortunately, even despite very aggressive, appropriate treatment, this gentleman did not get back to where he was before he got sick. So he lost ground. He's going to be less productive. His quality of life is worse.
Consultant Specialists of BC and Doctors of BC had been talking with the Ministry of Health since 2022, working on a plan to create a central specialist wait list with better data to understand the problem.
We got the notice in December that there was no ability for the government to continue working on it with us, and all funding was pulled.
In an email statement, the health ministry contests that, saying they have a funding proposal from the doctors' groups, but asks for more data which shows the work will actually improve wait times. Meanwhile, people like Dr. Carruthers' patient continue to fall through the cracks.
He could be living a much better life right now if the system was working better for him.
In Vancouver, Jack Morse, City News.
Well, I mean, how many times do you need a specialist and it's not urgent? I mean, come on, really? Maybe a few times, maybe like 10, 20%. But usually when you're referred to a specialist, isn't there some urgency to it? Oh, you're muted.
I would argue it's almost always urgent when you need to see a specialist.
It's crazy.
Not in a year.
Mind you,
on that
the
vein,
system
this
does
isn't-
seem to be just pushing you towards specialists all the time now. Like I feel like the GPs don't really do much anymore besides prescribe.
Back over to Montreal now. Montreal father says U.S. doctors save toddler using procedure not available in Canada. So, former city councilor Nicholas Tetro says his son's life was saved by medical treatments in the United States. For all these people who have been screaming up and down about how great Canada's healthcare is and how much the U.S. sucks, they both suck. But one's, this one at least is more effective, it seems like. Says his son's life was saved by medical treatments in the United States after his family had been told by a Montreal hospital to prepare for the boy's funeral. In October 2024, Tetro's 2-year-old son Arthur was found unresponsive in a swimming pool at a rental home in a Montreal suburb where the family was staying. Tetro pulled the boy out and was able to empty the water from his lungs. He told the Epoch Times in an interview. He immediately started CPR while waiting for an ambulance. Arthur was rushed to Lakeshore General Hospital in Pointe Claire, Quebec, where he was revived. Tetro said the toddler was then transferred to Montreal Children's Hospital a few hours later. The boy was stabilized, and testing found he had some brain damage. Arthur was diagnosed with dystonia, a neurological movement disorder where muscle contractions occur involuntarily, sometimes known as brainstorming. He was given medication to control the dystonia, which temporarily left him in a state of semi-paralysis. 5 weeks after the boy was taken to the Montreal Children's Hospital, Tetro says the family was told the hospital had made the decision to remove Arthur from life support, which would end his life. The hospital made the decision. Tetro said he was told by the doctors that because of severe dystonia, Arthur could not breathe on his own and his left diaphragm was paralyzed due to the brain damage he had suffered. Basically, we were served around November 14th with an ultimatum from the pediatric intensive care unit of the Montreal Children's Hospital that our child would be unplugged on the 29th of November and to basically prepare a funeral. The news came as a shock, he said, because the family had been talking with other doctors in the United States, sending them videos of Arthur and providing details about his medical status and care. The U.S. doctors were responding with plenty of hope for recovery. They said, well, we've treated children with 75% more brain damage than yours, and they're going to school today. Tetro said U.S. specialists were recommending hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which is a way to administer oxygen to the brain. The treatment, he said, has had significant success in the United States, but Tetro says Montreal Children's Hospital didn't agree. According to Health Canada, hyperbaric oxygen therapy is a well-established medical treatment, saying it can be used for 14 specific conditions. Among the listed ones are when air or gas bubbles go into the bloodstream, carbon monoxide poisoning, thermal burns, and other. In an online statement, the Montreal Children's Hospital says the procedure is not recommended by international standards for the treatment of brain injury as a result of oxygen deprivation after a resuscitated cardiac arrest, which could occur in drowning cases. Now, just to stop, I mean, is this what happens when you have bureaucrats telling you? I mean, who cares if it's not fucking recommended? You're gonna kill the kid.
I know. This is how
you either try this shit. I mean, this is the kind of thing I'm okay with spending a few of my tax dollars on.
Exactly. And ask the dad. We don't have the scientific backing of this
because we're shot. What do you say?
Yeah. And this is the problem with this, a great example of how the difference between the two systems, right? We are just as narrow-minded. You need approval from the upper ups, right? To do anything basically. Oh, it's not one of the 14 procedures we can use oxygen for. Give me a break. This is what happened.
Tetro said he found the procedure had been used for decades by Dr. Paul Harch, a drowning recovery specialist, saying he had successfully treated more than 150 children who have been revived after drowning. Dr. Harch offered to speak with the Canadian doctors about the procedure for Arthur. I always offer to talk with the doctors because this is the science that the vast, vast majority of doctors are not aware of, Dr. Harch told the Epoch Times in a phone interview. When asked for comment, Montreal Children's Hospital referred the Times to their online statement, which says the care the hospital provides is based on the best and most current medical practices. The hospital added that in drowning cases involving cardiac arrest with prolonged resuscitation, survival is rare, and the children often severe brain damage, which may result in an unresponsive wakefulness syndrome, a permanent vegetative state. In general, there's little hope of survival for the child whose heart stops beating outside the hospital and who arrives at the hospital without a heartbeat after prolonged cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Why do we bother then? This can happen in cases such as drowning, the hospital says. The hospital added that while hyperbaric oxygen therapy is not recommended for such cases, the centers where it's available are generally private, profit-based organizations. Imagine that. Dr. Hart said, although hyperbaric oxygen is not considered standard and that Montreal Children's Hospital is justified in their position that they must follow protocol, the treatment should have been considered for Arthur and for similar cases when essentially there is no other treatment available.
Exactly.
After the grim prognosis in Montreal, the family made a quick decision to move the boy to New Orleans for care, booking a private jet to fly him out with medical staff on board. So here's the other thing is like, for most of you people, this ain't fucking happening. They're just killing your kid. Well, there's a life-saving option. They're just going to kill your kid because you can't afford a private jet, can you? Arthur was immediately given oxygen on the plane, and the problem isn't that he's got money. The problem is that the state is fucking won't consider it for you because they could have done the exact same fucking thing in Montreal.
Hey, I've gone through this exact thing, not with a life-threatening disease, but with Maria's chronic condition, right? I talked to a doctor. We met with him for an hour. I paid $300 US. We got all this information, his number to talk to our doctors, and none of them will do anything. None of the recommendations. They won't call him. They won't talk to him. They just can't. They can't follow any of the protocols suggested. It's unbelievable.
Okay, Arthur was immediately given oxygen on the plane through a ventilator. Tetris said that after around 3 hours on the ventilator at 30% increased oxygen throughout the flight, Arthur had already stopped showing signs of dystonia.
Oh my God.
Had no more uncontrolled movement. Just from oxygen. Couldn't have given him some oxygen. After 3 weeks of treatment at the Ochsner Medical Center in New Orleans under Dr. Hatch, Arthur was able to breathe on his own, Tetros said. The boy was released from the hospital after 4 weeks. The family has been staying in a rental home near the hospital to monitor him because they were left traumatized by the experience in Montreal. After experiencing both health systems, Tetros sees it as two different approaches to healthcare. In the US, your patient is seen as a source of income, as a client. In Canada, a patient is seen as an expense, as a problem, as a negative issue, and it changes the entire equation.
That's a great summary there. That's a great summary there.
I'll say it again. In the US, your patient is seen as a source of income, as a client, which is you want to help your customers. In Canada, a patient is seen as an expense, a problem, a negative issue, and it changes the entire equation. I mean, they'll fucking try and made you. The Montreal Children's Hospital did a very good job. Like 85%, I would give them as a grade. The 15% would easily have made a huge world of difference. The family has started a GoFundMe page to help with the cost of Arthur's recovery to cover treatments, medical transportation, equipment, and ongoing therapies. As of January 27th, over $29,300 has been raised towards a $45,000 goal. So that's probably what that private jet and everything costs to go down there and do it. 45 grand. Not a lot of money for your kid to still be alive instead of dead.
Right. Exactly.
That any Canadian would pay that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great example. Well, I should have said this one before, but this is just from Nikki P. Just a reminder, like what Carney's going to be up to here. It's just a conspiracy until it's not. Right, Mark? Carnival, carbon tax, Carney. Hard pass on another sinister prime minister. And this is like there's a cover sheet here, right? Pull, push, pipes. Sustainable capital flows for a new world order. Mark Carney. The group of 30. Oh, I meant to look into that group of 30 thing. It's just gross. This is people better wake up and realize that like we got to say no to this climate change stuff, this net zero stuff. Like we have to push back on this. The other thing I want to mention here is this is this call. I wanted to talk to you about this. I've been saving it up, but I mean, it's going to happen. Like, there's not enough time left now. I think it's for tomorrow, February 1st or something. But this was Odessa Orlowitz's initial one here from January 18th. A BC ostrich farm. Its owners cry for help from the public. The culling agenda marches on. Healthy, immune ostriches with antibodies who aren't sick to be slaughtered by the Liberal government. Ostriches don't go anywhere and are not used as a food supply. It's pretty gross. So then she ordered this thing here. New post. She had to correct the email address. Breaking news. The animal massacre plot thickens in Canada in a really dark way. Please share this widely. I just got off the phone with Katie, who said this morning the lower down people at CFIA visited Katie's ostrich farm and literally said to her out loud that none of her ostriches were sick, no bird flu, and that her farm was following protocol for cleanliness perfectly. Apparently, she recorded this via video. I'm waiting for it. Now, according to Katie, she was just told by upper government decision makers that they're coming for her bird flu antibodies and her COVID-19 antibodies, and they will be taking everything from her house as well that they think is ostrich related. Her house is not on the same land and has a different address. A lower down source who works for CFIA has leaked to a couple of us that I have to say alleged for protection, the decision maker of this nonsensical agenda ridden call is Operation Chief Command Officer. I won't read the email on there. People can go to the Twitter and get it if they want themselves. The person I got the email address from said, pound her with emails. It is the opinion of Katie that something much bigger is going on here. The culling of these ostriches is still planned for February 1st, 2025, and allegedly the same with an inspection of her private residence for any possible ostrich items. What do you think that's about? Welcome to the WHO's One Health.
It reminds me of the ferrets before COVID.
Yeah, and the minks.
The minks, that's what I was thinking of, the minks. The minks. All right, I got some good shit. Let's go do how about a Daniel Smith segment?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like him or not, she's easily the best politician in the country. So let's this is about the Jasper homes. Everyone's been yelling at the Alberta government about the homes in Jasper, right? Which technically falls under federal jurisdiction because it's a national park. But let's play this little interview on AM 770 with Daniel Smith from just the other day.
Hi, thank you for taking my call, Premier.
Hey.
I grew up in Jasper, and it's just been exactly 6 months to the day that you made an announcement in front of Alberta that through tears that you promised that your government would be there to support Alberta during its rebuild. 6 months on, when the province is needed now more than ever for financial support for housing, your government has abandoned the people of Jasper. I would like to know when you plan to keep your promise to help Jasper rebuild.
Yeah, it's very sad. I mean, we said right from the beginning that we would love to be able to be put through orders in cabinet. We committed to $120 million a build. We have 250 homes ready to be deployed. And Jasper rejected us. The municipality said they didn't want them. And Parks Canada rejected us. They said they didn't want them. What we needed was to have land to put them somewhere. And part of the problem with the way the legislation works in Jasper is they have a set town site, and they're not prepared to clear any additional space for us to put those houses up. So
I understand there is some land there, but it's not conducive for housing.
Well, they want it to be multifamily housing, and I can understand that why. If you are not able to get more land to do more building, then you want to be able to build multifamily.
Oh my God.
Be able to use that land so that we could get the families in there so that they had some place to stay while they're rebuilding. So I would say call Mayor Ireland in Jasper and tell him your concerns. Call the head of Parks Canada, because the two of them declined our offer. We still stand by ready to deploy these 250 homes. We've got it all lined up, but they don't want them. And if they don't want them, there's nothing more we can do. It's not our jurisdiction.
Daryl is calling you from Diamond Valley. Same question. How's Jasper? Go ahead, Daryl.
All right. Go ahead.
These are like mobile homes kind of thing, like temporary homes, and they want multi-family. Like they're getting choosy.
No, she's ready to basically rebuild what burned down.
And then now
It
they don't
wasn't
want
multifamily housing that burnt down. It was single family homes. So they're ready to build.
See, this is what's
They're ready to
happening.
build
They all want to build.
250 single family homes, but they won't give them any land to do it on. Land
No, because they want to change the they want to change the what do you call that when you change the zoning, right? For like big apartment condos or townhouses and stuff, cram more people in.
There's so much, dude. I just fucking flew from Vancouver to here. There's nothing from Vancouver to here. There's nothing.
I know
There's
so
literally fucking nothing. There's 50,000 fucking people, and it's a 1,000 miles, literally 1,000 miles of nothing. Up, down, north, south, east, west. There's 1,000 miles of mountains of nothing. They could cut down a couple fucking 100 acres of trees next to the town site to give these people a fucking house. It's disgusting.
I know. It's just it's out of control.
Yes. Thank you, Premier. I understand that to get the land, it's got to go through Parliament. And you know where Parliament is these days. Why doesn't the province of Alberta appropriate that land or annex it or something there and say to hell with Mr. Trudeau?
Well, I can tell you that would be complicated. It is federally owned land. We have federal parks. It's federal jurisdiction. I mean, this is one of the frustrations we identified right at the beginning. We were on standby with equipment at the border of Jasper, waiting to be called in because we didn't have the authority to go into their airspace and help without an invitation. That's why when the recovery began, I insisted that we needed to be part of it. But the problem with the disarray in Ottawa, I don't even know who the lead on Jasper is. It took a while for them to identify who it was. It was Randy Boissonneau. And then he, because of his political troubles, stepped down. But I don't even think that there is a lead minister on this.
Wild, eh?
Oh, that's totally wild. Are you gonna go over the vaccine thing with about that with Danielle and all that? Or
I was, but I figure I'm not going to get to it this week. I might have it actually queued up for I think I have it in Plus actually.
Yeah, let's just do it in Plus then, since it's the jet.
I do have it in Plus.
Yeah. Okay.
But oh god, now I lost you again. I'm just still getting used to all my things. Okay, now wait, where'd we go? Because I got some more Daniel Smith stuff. Three in a row.
Okay.
3 in a row. Where'd it go? Where is it? That ain't it. Stephen Taylor. Okay. It was the top one. God damn it.
If you can't say every sector of the Canadian economy can be weaponized against the U.S., are you worried that in sticking up for your province, you could be undermining the ability of the country to deal with?
Of course, this is in regards to the federal government threatening to tell Alberta to shut down the oil down to the states.
With the U.S. in this?
I think Eastern Canada has to be very, very careful what they wish for, because as I said, they get almost all of their energy from the United States, and they've got a pretty big stick. I certainly don't think that wouldn't want to see Ontario or Quebec or the Irving refinery cut off from American oil or imports. So that's why I'm saying you just don't threaten things that you're not prepared to do, or where the retaliation measure might leave you worse off. It's one thing to talk about an import tax on orange juice, and maybe we'll all end up paying a little bit more for orange juice. That's a Team Canada approach, but you shouldn't put things on the table that would be harmful to the country as a whole. So let's try to find the things that we can all live with, and then see if we have to act on them. But I think we have to have a bit of a reality check about just how dependent Eastern Canada is on U.S. energy imports, and why it's a flawed strategy to try to talk about retaliating there.
But just as a final point of that, you say be careful what they wish for. I mean, if you can't.
So did you notice at the bottom it was talking about how we're calling Belarus's elections fraudulent?
That's allowed these days? That's allowed? So, well, just can I
got one more. I got one more.
Well, I know that's on topic. Okay. Oh, this is good. Okay, I'm gonna have one after that just quickly.
Marshall Smith, Alberta's effective approach to drugs. Remember when everyone was freaking out about this a year ago? Was it a year ago on this show? We were talking about how we were gonna kill all the fucking junkies.
No, we need to do a show on this. We need to do like a full interview with somebody on this.
Yeah, so the numbers are out. Alberta's effective approach to drugs should be a North American standard. Again, Alberta leading the world. In 2024, opioid deaths in the province decreased by 38%. 2 out of 5 less. The drug epidemic and addiction crisis have quickly become a defining issue of Canada's relationship with the United States. President Donald Trump is committed to implementing a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods, citing a need to stem the flow of deadly and highly profitable drug fentanyl between the countries. Canada and the United States have seen a consistent increase in the usage of the drug over the past 10 years, along with increased manufacturing, trafficking, and dealing of this deadly poison. Well, this issue has taken center stage. Different approaches for addressing drug trafficking and addiction have been tried across the country for years now. As of now, only Alberta stands as a clear example of a jurisdiction in Canada where opioid overdose deaths were down 38% in 2024, a decrease larger than anywhere in North America. I will add that is while the economy was falling off of a fucking cliff and unemployment was at an all-time high for the last 20 years. Why? Because Alberta has effectively merged law enforcement and addiction treatment efforts to tackle both the supply and demand for illegal drugs in a fair, firm, and compassionate way.
What a concept.
When it comes to reducing the supply side of the drug issue, law enforcement efforts play a vital role. While many activists call for the removal of police from this conversation entirely, this simply does not work. Police and corrections involvement, intervention, and consequences must be a significant part of our efforts. Alberta has stepped up by working with national and international agencies to crack down on the production and trafficking of fentanyl, enhance border security, increase surveillance, and coordinated raids on drug labs are just a few measures the province has taken to disrupt the flow of illegal drugs. Local police forces are also working hard to dismantle drug trafficking networks within Alberta. By targeting dealers and suppliers, law enforcement aims to cut off the distribution of fentanyl at its source. The more disruption of these criminal organizations, the better. Can we arrest our way out of the addiction crisis? Of course not. But decriminalization schemes and the normalization of hard drug use has been a sickening failure and has contributed to a dystopic scenes that we see in cities across the country. On the other side, you have the users who drive demand. Reducing that demand is essential to any credible drug strategy. And this is where Alberta's approach truly shines, getting people into recovery. In the first 9 months of 2024, opioid-related deaths are down 38%, a feat unmatched in North America. Alberta is 5 years into a 10-year strategy of building a recovery-oriented system of care to disrupt addiction, deliver comprehensive treatment, and support long-term recovery. By partnering with law enforcement, Alberta delivers addiction treatment the moment someone is arrested. When individuals arrive in police cells, a health assessment is conducted, and if eligible, treatment medication like Sublocade is offered. Use is voluntary. Sublocade reduces cravings and withdrawal symptoms for opioids, tricking the brain into thinking it has received an opioid without producing euphoria. Sublocade is an injection that lasts 30 days in the patient. It's wide available in Alberta as a game changer. This approach does not absolve criminal responsibility, but combines healthcare and law enforcement to deliver better outcomes. You don't have to have a run-in with the law to get help. The province has introduced on-demand access to opioid agonist therapies like Suboxone and Sublocade. Suboxone, probably. And Sublocade. Today in Alberta, anyone can call the virtual opioid dependency program and get same-day access to these life-saving medications without fees or wait lists. In a world where people who need help the most get the least, and those who need help the least get the most, Alberta has sought to turn this reality on its head. In its correctional centers, Alberta has built a network of therapeutic living units providing high-quality mental health and treatment to incarcerated individuals. These units offer the best, most intense treatment available. Alberta's pioneering correctional therapeutic living unit programs offer life-changing opportunities, helping individuals avoid relapse and reject a return to criminal activity upon release. Alberta has also increased access to all forms of addiction treatment. Over the past 5 years, funding for bed-based addiction treatment has increased by 50%, allowing 10,000 more people each year to access detox treatment and recovery support. Additionally, Alberta is investing $350 million to build 11 brand new world-class recovery communities. These long-term centers range from 50 to 100 beds, provide comprehensive addiction treatment with a focus on helping people rebuild their lives. Blah, blah, blah. Alberta's efforts are a powerful example of what can be achieved with a firm and compassionate approach to drugs and addiction. The drug and addiction crisis and now our relationship with the United States and bold solutions.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, honestly, I've been meaning to get one of the experts on the show about this because I do think they're doing it the right way. I mean, you got to be firm and get people into treatment. You have to get people into treatment. This harm reduction thing is not working. Like, there's people that can defend it all day long, but it's harm. There's harm. Harm is increasing. Whether you talk about the community, the law enforcement, the people themselves, the ODs, like it's all going the wrong way. So getting people, like, the only thing I'm not clear about is like what crimes, like because I know in BC they've allowed it outside, like open, they allow hard drug use in the open, right? On the streets. Like it scares people that live in the area. It's terrible, right? Like that has to be the next step. I don't know if Calgary or if Alberta is doing that or not, but I mean, at some point you got to get people off the street, right? And then get them somewhere else for treatment. Like that would be, something like a crime that you could then get people through the system into treatment. Like, I was scared to get arrested when I was using. I mean, I had to hit my bottom.
Oh yeah,
you gotta hit a bottom, man. You gotta have some repercussions for your actions.
I agree.
So let me just build on that a little bit. It's just a quick one here. This is in regards to drugs and the borders. Like, why have we not heard of any of our politicians? They just want to fight with tariffs. Why aren't they just listening to securing the border and doing all the, like, they don't even want to acknowledge it. It's just crickets here.
Canadian Border Security Agency whistleblower says transnational gangs have compromised government agencies, helping terrorists and spies enter Canada. Luke Sabrin, a former CBSA officer, alleges that the CBSA databases and operations have been compromised, aiding the entry of dangerous individuals into Canada. He warns that Canada's security is at risk due to systemic corruption and the failure of accountability measures. Sabrin's allegations align with concerns raised in a 2019 CBSA threat brief, which warned of transnational criminal organizations exploiting CBSA systems and personnel.
When these things happen, you have to take action, or people like you and I don't trust our institutions anymore. When you have the Sinaloa cartel somehow baked into our government institutions and they're able to threaten a CBA officer's kids at his house, when that happens, you're kind of going, oh, there's no rules. Give credit to this guy for even saying anything. If you've got a gang of people that can come into my country and do whatever you want, and you have that kind of push, and I'm the one that loses because other CBSA agents are compromised to give me my information up, what the hell is happening here? So yeah, no, I mean, like I said, all credit to the guy.
Yeah. So yeah, that's and there's no acknowledgement about like what Trump was asking for. All the liberals and lefts are just like just quiet about the border, quiet about the securing all the problem with drugs on the border. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I get it.
They want it. So I got a couple like long. I got that long one that I don't know if you want to do it in the first half or the second half. I mean, the Alberta report we should do in the second half for sure. But I can do the NGO thing now or wait, whatever you think.
I was thinking we should consider, not right now, but eventually maybe doing a bonus show instead of an extension for supporters.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah.
Like another, like a shorter one, like a 45-minute thing on Sundays or something.
Yeah, totally.
Let us know what you think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like that too. Yeah. And then it would sort of, then we can keep going and then just end properly and then get it out.
Exactly. And then we could incorporate, like, set them up very differently.
Yeah, exactly.
I have another long one and medium one, and that's probably about it. I probably have 3 more. I have that's probably going to be a short one. That one's.
Well, do you want to do it this week? Do you want to just because we just had a show earlier tonight too. Do you want to do? Do you want to just finish off this, like go a little long on the free, and then just do a bonus app on Sunday, or?
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's do it this way. Okay, as long as it's like Sunday early evening sort of thing before like 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock would be fine with me.
I was thinking even in the morning.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah,
like in the morning, start the day. All right. Well, okay. Where do you want me to go first? I got. You can pick between oil, DEI, or 51st state.
Oh man, I'm gonna want to build on you with all that. Are you gonna do all of them today, or?
I'm gonna do all of them today. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start with the oil then. Start with
oil.
oil.
Yeah. Okay. Where'd it go? I lost it. Okay, here it is. This is just a short one. Little clip on how much money. Okay, why don't you take a guess? How much? How many investment projects into the Canadian oil sector on a dollar amount do you think Trudeau's government has canceled since he took office in 2015?
Well, some of them are like worth like less than $1 billion. Some of them are over 15 billion. So I'm going to guess around 30 to 40 billion.
Way more.
Okay. Because you remember that graphic I had with Marty?
Yeah.
Is that the same one you're looking at, or?
No. Well, yeah, it is the same one, but I'm not looking at it. So I'm going to play a clip of someone looking at it.
Okay.
Do you want to try another? I'll give you 3 guesses.
Oh, 80 billion?
More.
Come on, really? This is all. So it must be more than encompassing way more than that graphic then. 120 billion?
176 billion.
Oh my God. 176,000 million.
Since 2015, Justin Trudeau canceled $176 billion worth of pipe and oil projects in order to save the planet. He literally sold Canada's future. Now we're at the mercy of Donald Trump with his 25% tariffs. 6 oil projects in BC, 5 in Alberta, and yeah, a pipeline that goes across the entire country. The retaliatory tariffs are going to cost Canadians well over $176 billion. And all of the damage that's going to occur is going to put all of that money up in.
Look, there's the graphics there. This is the Energy East, which is arguable because like we had Marty, who is very knowledgeable on pipelines, probably, more than anyone I know. Dude ran a pipeline and looked into Energy East. He said it probably wasn't possible. So that's 15 billion off the top there.
That's the one I was
Northern
saying.
Gateway could have happened though. Mackenzie Valley 16.8. I've never even heard of that. The Northwest Territories to Alberta. So that'd be coming from way up north.
And the thing is, a lot of these companies backed out after they had put a whole bunch of money into getting them going. I mean, not that they were actually, started. Like, I don't know if ground was broken in some of these, but, definitely preparing the paperwork and doing all the approvals and all that, the permits. I mean, a lot of these companies backed out.
Mackenzie Valley gas pipeline, 16 billion. Energy Saugate LNG project, 4 billion. New Brunswick Frederick Brook Shale project, 0.07 billion. I can't see the Alberta ones. There's a Frontier Oil Sands up top is 20 billion. Grassy Point Liquid Natural Gas project, 10 billion. West Coast Canada LNG project, 25 billion. These are imagine the BC economy. Aurora Natural Gas LNG project, 20 billion. But not only that, we'd be reducing global emissions more by supplying Germany and Europe with natural gas. Just saying. Pacific Northwest LNG project, 11 billion.
Smoke. The $176 billion in oil investment would not see that money go poof. It would actually see a 10 to 20x in return. With these oil projects, Canada would be a global superpower, energy independent and untouchable. But then we have Justin Trudeau that decided to make us weak. We must declare a national emergency, open up Parliament, and approve every single one of these projects immediately. Canada has the resources to dominate on the global stage. Instead,
I don't know who's going to build all that shit at once.
No,
so,
they can't. They've moved on to other things, I'm sure. I mean, it's been 10 years now. You know, that's crazy. Okay, I'm just going to build on that a little bit. This is from David Parker. The plan to destroy Canada. Number one, demoralize the natural born citizens by making households unaffordable and jobs scarce. Sorry, housing. 2, employ over 50% of the population in government or government adjacent jobs. 3, tax the productive members of society into poverty. 4, inflate away your bad spending habits, further impoverishing Canada. 5, Canada's middle class is destroyed and anything that remains of it is dependent on government jobs. 6, nationalize natural resource companies. 7, increase mass immigration to depress wages and increase cost of living. 8, replace natural-born citizens with more compliant foreign-born population. And 9, sell off Canada to global superpowers at a discounted rate due to poor management. And 10, profit you and your Laurentian elite friends. Yep, he's missing a lot though. I mean, there's all the healthcare stuff, the jabs, ignoring all that, but you know, they didn't want to go.
Alberta's introducing $15 a day childcare.
Yeah, I don't really get that whole thing. So,
well, basically, they're going to subsidize it. Which, if it's instead of sending money to Quebec, man, I'm all for it. I mean, it's
I don't know. It's hard to
socialist, but if it wasn't, hey, you can send this money to Quebec, or you can do this with it, or you can keep it, then I'm going to pick keep it. But, you know, if I have to pick between supporting Alberta families or supporting Quebec families, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to my buddy. I don't know about my buddy. He kind of drives me nuts. I'm sure he's spook, but I have read, I've read most of his books. Peter Zehan, my buddy Peter Zehan, the spook.
You've read most of his books?
Yeah.
Wow.
He seems pretty bright when he's not driving me crazy. Peter Zehan says Alberta would be better off as 51st U.S. state, the American author of The Accidental Superpower. So I just wanted to go through this because it's, I mean, this guy has made shit tons of money for predicting things. I do think he seems to be a little too far out in front of some of it. It comes a little later, you know. I think he misses the mark, but Zehan's new book is mostly about the United States and its place in the world, but he's dedicated an entire chapter to Alberta. The main reason it's important because it's Zehan is because I will tell you for sure that this dude is in the room with fucking
Carney?
Not Carney. I don't know about that. He's a US guy. So I'd say he's in the room with like those US, he's pretty high profile. You know what I mean? Alberta as a US state would not simply be rich, the richest in the union, in fact, but would have a vibrantly well-financed and diverse economy.
Wow.
Alberta as a U.S. state, blah, blah, blah. That's the same thing I just read, writes the American author. He argues that demographics are another reason why Alberta should jump ship. Alberta produces more energy than the rest of Canada put together. Their primary export market is the United States, and a merger would eliminate everything from tax liabilities to foreign currency fluctuations. Zehan says the province is a lot younger than the rest of Canada, and as a wave of baby boomers start to retire, the rest of the country will become increasingly dependent on Alberta. As the price of that retiree bulge rises, and it's already pushing the Canadian budget to the limit, there really is only one place that Canadians can tax to fund the retiree system that they have promised their citizens, and that is Alberta. Zehan says if Alberta ever did choose to go on its own, he suspects Canada's second Saskatchewan would follow. So I guess that's it.
I like that. That's getting some mileage. I mean, honestly, what Trump's doing is throwing us into a, you know, I've heard, who else did I hear about? Oh, did you hear about the mining? Like they're talking about mining in New Brunswick now, all of a sudden, all these metals that they need for Like the new premier's been in power only like 2 months, and they're like, oh, let's go into the ground and start mining. I mean, it's really creating people. It's really forcing people to start looking at things a little differently, like people in power. I mean, so here I'll do my Fractal NGO thing. I'm going to start with Mackenzie Scott. Do you know who she is?
No.
Ex House Bezos. She doesn't get enough attention for the impact she's having on the state of the world. So you ready for this? Her primary causes are, of course, this isn't going to surprise you. Equity, TM. I don't know how that can be trademarked. Sowing racial division and supporting illegal immigration. Her method is trust-based philanthropy. Now, how many NGOs do you think is attached to her grants?
172.
This is okay. So this is Mackenzie Scott Bezos giving away money. No, go up a little higher, quite a bit higher, actually.
Like a magnitude?
Yeah.
1,712.
Giving $16 billion in no strings attached grants to over 2,500 NGOs and nonprofits. Her primary impact is feeding the NGO/nonprofit complex, a jobs program for entitled liberals who think their overpriced degrees are worth framing. And they embrace fanatical ideologies to assuage their guilt, make themselves feel superior and charitable, and mask their hypocrisy. She gives millions of dollars to groups with the stated mission like empowering Latinx immigrants, deportation defense, and justice and equality for LGBT immigrants, LGBTQ immigrants.
We should just go back to L's and G's.
She received 19.7 million.
If you're a P, you're just an L or a G, right?
She received almost 20 million shares of Amazon in her divorce, worth 38 billion. And she's already given away 16 billion in the last 5 years, but she's worth 36 thanks to the rise of Amazon's stock price. So she's just getting started. And there's a chart here that I might as well share because it's fun to share the screen of this kind of stuff. And it's a chart that's got, guess what? They're split evenly among multiple focus areas if present. And here we go. Race and ethnicity at the very top. 1.15 million to race and ethnicity. Livelihoods and workforce development is about 1,000 million. Youth development, post-secondary, tertiary education, access to housing and housing development, economic development, financial inclusion. So, I mean, there's probably lots of good things in here too, maybe. Bridging divides, nonprofit sector. Climate change gets about 400 million. 400 million. Infectious and parasitic diseases gets about 100 million. Sexual and gender-based violence gets about 100 million. Reproductive health gets about 200 million. Dude, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about how different the world is right now with these things. So then I'm gonna get to this one here. So this is a little bit of a different one. This is digging deep to build high. This is lawyer Lisa's Substack. How do they fund the climate gulags? Introducing the Green Municipal Fund. So this is how we get down to the local level of all this stuff. So together, FCM and LC3 centers in 7 of Canada's largest cities are working to overcome the challenges of climate change in urban centers and chart an equitable path to net zero by 2050. Oh my God, this is so frustrating. So this past year has been a critical one for LC3. It hit a milestone in January 2022 with the successful transfer of 177 million in federal endowment assets from the GMF. I don't know if that's Global Management Fund, maybe into the hands of local boards of network members. So here's how it gets shifted down to local stuff. So the Halifax Climate Investment, Innovation and Impact Fund, the Greater Montreal Climate Fund, Ottawa Climate Action Fund, the Atmospheric Fund, serving Toronto, the Climate Innovation Fund, for Calgary and Edmonton, and Metro Vancouver Zero Emissions Innovation Center. So they use their assets to generate their own operating funds, provide grants, and undertake impact investing to stimulate carbon emission reductions and other local benefits in their communities. So they waste no time in mobilizing funds, seeding more than $4.5 million in climate mitigating, multi-solving projects, leveraging an additional $20 million from the public, private, and philanthropic sectors in project support. So the diverse leadership, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can just imagine what they're like, right? Solving multi-challenges at once. So in a snapshot, let's see. So they've got some of these in action, right? So this is the LC3 in action here. Propulsion, Quebec's school bus electrification project, green development standards for new buildings, accelerating retrofits in commercial buildings. Oh, it's so frustrating.
What are
So
they
how many,
retrofitting them to?
What?
What are they retrofitting them to?
The buildings?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, let me see here. I'm sure that I can find out that green development standards for. So the Climate Innovation Fund. This is in Alberta, actually. The Eco Trust Foundation in 2021 to build a better business case for commercial building energy efficiency retrofits. So, say property owners are often dissuaded from undertaking retrofits. With support from RBC Foundation, Tech for Nature, as well as private donors, it's partnered with Dana to enable improved business modeling to support energy efficiency upgrades in commercial buildings. Rapid digital auditing of commercial buildings using machine learning. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Like, it sounds like they're just auditing the building. Are they doing actually any work? Using data extrapolation and visualization and AI, digital audits produce for faster, cheaper, and more comprehensive results compared to traditional site-specific energy audits. 55 buildings participated in the pilot last year, and projects valued at $1 million up to $25 million will be aggregated and promoted in advancing low-carbon solutions in Alberta. Way to go, Alberta, leading the way on this one. Their Eco Trust is using the rapid digital audit results to connect commercial building owners. This is like just, it feels like a managerial grift right now, right? What the it's a bureaucratic grift. So they're going to connect owners. So Darren, you own a commercial building and they've audited you with their AI audit. They've ran their numbers and their visualization, and they're going to suggest to you they're going to give you some low carbon financing, and it'll provide innovative off balance sheets and pay as you save finance for commercial building retrofits. So the data from the CIF will help identify large-scale energy efficiency improvements and aggregate them to catalyze investment. So there you go.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah, nothing about the actual retrofit themselves. So here's the big one. This is I'm going to play some of this for you here. This is the Fractal technology. So I'm going to have you do a couple more guesses, okay? Look away for a sec. Look away for a sec. So there's this Fractal technology that's it's connecting all these NGOs to show you like who's connected to who. How many NGOs are connected in this Fractal image here?
How many? Guess how many?
Yeah.
Oh man, I could never guess that. It's crazy.
Basically emerges out of a shadow government with 55,000 organizations. Do you remember when I wanted to do that VR? I was thinking about doing that VR, like mapping of all the connections of all. This is kind of what I was talking about, like, but except you'd be able to like move it around and tease it apart and all that. But let's just watch some of this here and see what he says.
Is the central nervous system of how the leftists use NGOs, non-governmental.
And I hate that this is even politicized. I really do hate that it's partisan. I'm sure there's right NGOs as well, but it really does seem like they've got it down pat from the globalist thing, from the Soroses and the Bezoses, all the way down through thousands of organizations, all just managing bullshit and not producing anything.
How do I get that job?
so that they are able to interfere in elections, to transform
I feel like I
American
have that
culture,
job.
much of which is paid for by the American taxpayer. Now, what you are looking at has never been seen before because it can't be seen with conventional technology. Every dot you see here is an NGO that is tied to the Chinese Progressive Association.
So it's a bit anti-China. Like
I'm a bit anti-China.
They're trying to say that all these are tied in some way to this.
In the next few minutes, we're going to do that analysis. But let's go look at some of these outlying organizations. The Black Voters Matter Fund, $4 million, is funding all of these different organizations.
So he's just hovering over one of these external flowers. So it looks like these connections go to one dot, let's say, and then they fund all these other this flower of NGOs from there, or nonprofits.
You see here, United Ballot, MIA Strategies, Mississippi Legislative Black Fund, Step Up Louisiana Organizing Fund, Abundant Life Ministries, Organizational Support Services.
Anyways, I don't know if let's fast forward a bit here.
In many cases that are antithetical to what America is trying to do. All is marked. San Francisco gives money to the Chinese Progressive Association, antithetical to what America is trying to do. Well, now let's look at who gives money to the Chinese Progressive Association. So we go here.
Are you still hearing this?
Yep.
And here's our answer. The San Francisco Foundation, $750,000. The Sierra Health Foundation, East Bay Community.
So, I mean, he's getting into he's getting into the weeds with this, who's funding the Chinese thing, but it's only not even $1 million, San Francisco. So the top one's not even $1 million. So right away I'm starting to go, wow, is this really as bad as he's saying? But the web, I like the web idea and how they're all connected, but I don't like how he's got these companies funding that China fund, and it's really piddly compared to the main amount of money that's flowing through these things. But Scott Adams has actually posted it. And this is the original post is from Mario Knopfel. Let me just read what he has to say, and so we don't have to hear that other dude talking anymore. So basically, it reveals how tax dollars allegedly flow through major institutions like Vanguard and Morgan Stanley to groups like the Chinese Progressive Association. This breakthrough tracking system can now monitor every dollar going to every NGO, exposing intricate funding webs that traditional tech couldn't detect. Example, Black Voters Matter Fund's $4 million distribution network was invisible until quantum mapping revealed dozens of subsidiary organizations. The unprecedented mapping reveals a previously hidden web of financial relationships. So I'm going to put a link in that in the show notes there. Oh, Mark Carney's GFANs targeted in bombshells climate cartel report by the U.S. Judiciary Committee. Interesting. So there's some good comments in here too. How pleased is George Soros about this, or the Rothschilds, or Bill Gates? Perhaps we can start to track down some of the missing trillions of dollars that mysteriously disappeared from the books. So I like it. I like that there's some focus on this. I've been worried about this problem for a long time. I feel like it needs massive focus. So maybe this is, good timing with what's happening with Trump and firing a bunch of these people that are running these things too, and shutting down some of this grifting.
Speaking of grifting, let's look at some Canadian DEI. DEI in academic hiring in public universities, an index of university discrimination in Canada. This came out January 29th, 2025. by David Hunt, Colin May, Ven Venkachalam, and Alex Ems. The executive summary. This study conducts a preliminary assessment of academic job postings at public universities across Canada to gauge the extent of discriminatory hiring and threats to academic freedom from diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. Typically, DEI strategies rely on equity-based moral justifications or productivity-based rationalizations for diversity and inclusion. Both approaches are increasingly common and are increasingly coming under scrutiny, as they often heighten discord among groups while privileging those already doing well in their finances and/or career within marginalized communities to the detriment of lower and working class individuals throughout society. To measure the prevalence and severity of DEI in academic hiring, we reviewed approximately 50 active academic job postings from the largest public university in each Canadian province. The review was based on 8 research questions that each gauge a different DEI strategy, from acknowledging DEI ideologies to compelling intellectual conformity to reverse racism, e.g., excluding white males from applying. All 10 universities sampled and 477 of the 489 job advertisements reviewed employed some form of DEI requirement or strategy in filling academic vacancies. In other words, 98% of the academic postings directly or indirectly discriminated against candidates and or threatened academic freedom. Some noteworthy instances include the following: all University of Toronto job postings and 96% of Dalhousie's mentioned or implied a candidate's contribution to DEI was an asset. McGill and the University of Saskatchewan required all applicants to complete a DEI survey. Nearly 2/3 of the University of British Columbia, UBC, and 55% of the University of Manitoba's job postings required candidates to submit a DEI statement or essay. Interestingly, the institution most likely to exclude candidates outright was also the least likely to employ any DEI strategies. At UBC, nearly 1 out of every 5 academic job postings explicitly restricted the job to a particular race, ethnicity, group identity, or other inherent trait. However, it was also the university least likely to call for specific DEI strategies. They were absent from 12% of UBC's postings. To rank and compare the universities in aggregate, we created an index. To do this, we equally weighted, blah, blah, blah. I don't think we need to do that. Let's just scoot down here and look at some of these charts, shall we? Here's the share of Canadian universities by prevalent DEI policies. 89% have a strategic plan that refers to DEI. 83% have DEI implemented in some form, and 51% have applied in faculty recruitment. Down here, you can see, does the job posting mention or promote DEI? McGill University, University of Alberta, University of Manitoba, University of New Brunswick, University of Saskatchewan, and University of Toronto all come in at 100%. Prince Edward Island, 98. Dalhousie, 98. Newfoundland, 89. And BC, surprisingly, 88. Then you have here, does the job posting mention or imply that a candidate's contribution to DEI is an asset? University of Toronto, 100%. 96% in Dalhousie, and then it sort of falls off a cliff from there. 30% Manitoba, 10% Alberta, all the way down to 2% in McGill and PEI. Does the job posting require the applicant complete a DEI? We should do a DEI survey someday. McGill, Saskatchewan, your province, 100%, all the way down to 0% in Alberta. Does a job posting require candidates to submit a DEI statement or essay? 64% down to 2.5%. So that starts dropping off from there. But preferential hiring, does the job posting prioritize applicants based on race, ethnicity, or other inherent group identities. So not a lot of that, but 10% in Saskatchewan. 1 in 10 jobs say you got to be black. Preferential hiring, does a job posting prioritize applicants based on race, ethnicity, or other group identities? University of British Columbia, 18% yes.
That's weird because they were lowest in the other things. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what they meant by that initial paragraph where they said they noticed this in the least likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So in summary,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
seeking to fill what?
Well, there was a sentence about the other. Scroll up a couple, and it said something about this. Findings are concerning. Oh, new discrimination. Yeah, yeah.
The findings are concerning. New discrimination in the name of reversing past prejudice will not right past wrongs. Moreover, restrictive hiring goes well beyond the aforementioned rationalizations. Perhaps the most egregious example in our sample is the exclusion of white males from applying to the Department of Physics at the University of New Brunswick's Tier 1 NSERC Canada Research Chair in Quantum Sensors for Space job opening. You think you just want the guy who knows what that even fucking means. He's got to be black, no white dudes. So, posted on May 2nd, 2023, and still up on unb.ca as of January 15th, 2025, it states, only applicants who self-identify as members of gender equity deserving groups, including cisgender women, transgender men.
No, it's basically everybody but white men.
Non-binary and or as racialized individuals will be considered for this opportunity. We encourage those with intersecting identities to apply. For example, women who identify as racialized individuals, indigenous, and or persons with disabilities. I should apply for this job.
Yeah, you're racialized.
I could be the fucking search for quantum sensors in space. Do you imagine?
Sensors for space, for safe space. It's quantum sensors for safe space.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Is it for space? I should apply for this job. Anyway, I don't know.
The conclusion. If there's anything at the conclusion, I think you.
Okay, let's see. The conclusion is blah, blah, blah. Hence, in order to rank and compare, it's just telling you how they ranked them from most woke to least. Luckily, Alberta is 9 out of 10. New Brunswick, less woke than Alberta. Who would have thought? That's something?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not a surprise, really.
I might apply for the space sensor job, dude. I'll say I'm an Indian and I'm gay. No, wait, no, I'm not gay.
Then you have Starlink.
I'm just non-binary. What can I do and still keep banging my wife? What can I be?
Bye.
No, I'm not doing that.
What? What do you mean? Well, this is the simplest one.
I want to be more than nondescript. No, because I ain't fucking admitting that I'm into dudes. Because I'm not into dudes. Wait, that's not.
I don't think there's another one that would qualify you.
I'm just two-spirit.
Two-spirit. Wow.
Sometimes I'm a little effeminate.
That's more appropriate for your Indian heritage.
Sometimes I'm a little effeminate, so I can have this job. I'll just wear a salmon shirt once a month to the office. All right. I have only one more thing left to do.
All right, let's do it and then get out of here.
All right. This is a little older, but we've never talked about it on our show. I came across it the other day. I thought I was going to do it in the extension, but whatever. Here we go. So this is the leaked Planned Parenthood tape. Remember this?
Oh boy. Yeah, why are we doing this in this show?
Oh, you think it's a bad idea?
It's okay. Let's try it.
The
you can't hear it for the audio people. I think she's talking about like organs from aborted fetuses.
Yeah, she is. It's too bad you can't hear. All right, let me see what I can do to
Uh,
clean it up,
yeah,
and I'll
let's-
bring it back around next
Yeah.
week.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
see
I'll
what-
share something quickly then for you. Have you seen the polling going around? I mean, I really do think there's a strategy here. Obviously, there's a strategy where they're going to seem like the liberals are coming back. Carney's on board. It's going to be close enough.
Unpopular opinion?
It's going to be close enough, right?
You want an unpopular opinion? I hope they win.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be. They're going to make it look close enough so then they can steal it. I mean, that's my prediction. So
If
here's
the
two
Liberals steal
Canadian.
the election. Alberta is out the fucking door.
Here's two Canadian polls. Same period, same area. This should be illegal. This is from Table Salt. So Atlantic Canada, right? This is Exos federal poll. So this is from a couple days ago. Liberals at 50%, Conservatives at 27%, and NDP at 10%. And then you go to the Abacus data federal poll, and the PCs are at 47%, Liberals at 27%, NDP at 21%. I mean, they're like opposite polls pretty much. It's gross how bad they can be off. So just don't trust the polls. I mean, that's my advice. I'm not going to trust any polls.
Did you see my poll?
Oh, except for your polls.
On my Twitter page?
Your non-binary poll?
My Which Way Modern Man poll?
On your, where was it on?
Go check it out. I'm not gonna read it. Go to my Twitter page.
Your Twitter page?
It's pinned on my Twitter page.
Okay.
I came across it in the wild. It got so bad.
Can I share it with the computer or?
I don't think we should say it out loud.
Say it really? Okay.
Kind of just.
So you're back on Twitter and you're already trying to get yourself canceled? I mean, is that what's
No,
going
I'm
on?
not trying to get canceled. It's just a little like low brow for the show. I feel like,
Oh my God, I searched Grimerica. Oh, I spelled it wrong. The only thing that came up was an ugly picture of a Sasquatch.
Is that
So
grammar?
which way am I supposed to read it out loud?
Oh, you can read it out loud if you want.
Oh my God. Oh.
It's awesome watching it sink in.
I can't even. I'm trying to.
You can't read it.
No, I'm not going to read it. That's gross.
You can't answer it. It just fucks you up. You should see the comments. Anyway, check it out at Grimerica on Twitter or at Grimerica Outlaw for Graham.
He's back trying to get himself off. I mean, get himself kicked off.
Let's not get kicked off. I mean, Twitter's good. It's good to be back. It's nice to have some social media that we get traction on.
Oh yeah, no, it's a game changer. Like this is going to be the year of Grimerica. 2025 is going to be awesome.
You're Grimerica. Fuck the dragon, or is it the snake? It's Grimerica. Fuck it. Call the Chinaman. Tell them we're changing it. Changing it. Zing, zing, jang, zoom. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We love you. GrimericaOutlaw.ca if you want to sign up for Plus and get those. Now we can say the extra roundup show and the interview extensions. So,
well, that's not. We might not be doing it every week. I mean, we got to discuss the logistics of this. It's not as simple.
Extra roundup either way, some way, shape, or form. You end up whether it's an extension or a show, you end up with extra roundup. So, AmericaOutlaw.ca, sign up today. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's the only thing that we literally get hundreds of thousands of impressions a week on. That we can, our stuff actually gets traction there, converts. Everything else, we're just fucking banned and shadow banned. And YouTube's getting traction again, so share that with your friends. Maybe we'll. I think that's it. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. Check out Grimerica.ca, adultbrain.ca for the audiobooks. Grimerica CBD. Contact at thecabin.com. Grimerica.ca/shrooms and Grimerica.ca. That is all our stuff. That's all our stuff. That's all the stuff we've come up with to try and eke out a living. So that's all the different ways you can support us outside of signing up for this show. Other than that, we love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.